New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
Well, good evening to everyone across the nation and around the world. It is time again for another fun-filled throw-packed, guaranteed, and a little snowy today edition of the Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. I am Pastor Michael Mangus, and I am broadcasting from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, in the secure concrete bunker somewhere in Akron, Ohio, that has a foot of snow next to the outside door. Anyhow, we have a wonderful show for you this evening. Please feel free to interact with us by posting your comments below on Facebook. Now, we are recording, but you can still put your comments down there. And again, for all of my shy people out there, I know some of you are out there. Please feel free to interact with me by sending me an email, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. So the purpose of our fireside chat here is to talk about contemporary issues from a New Thought perspective. And again, as I keep saying, I want us all to have a new thought about what is going on around us, and also our part in it. We talk about that every single Sunday, or most every single Sunday in our centers, where we talk about oneness. Well, if we're all one, then we all have a part in what is going on in the outer. So again, you don't have to agree with me, but again, I'm giving you something to think about. So we're recording today here at around 12 noon Eastern, because our regular guest, Amazon best-selling author, speaker, and minister, the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning, whose Sunday masterclass at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, here on the New Thought Media Network, has been highly successful and well-received. And the reason we're taping early is so that we can have her on the show. And also so I can get up early. I slept in yesterday until like 12:30. I'm going, man, I need to get up earlier. So I did today so that we could go ahead and we could tape this with Dr. Manning. Again, her show on Sunday evenings is out of sight. And this Sunday, we will have our Valentine's Day show with her, with relationship expert, Dr. Phil Good. Phil Good will be on our program this week. Oh, I'll tell you something. the last time Phil was on the program, he's been on Charlette show a couple of times, always to rave reviews. Again, everyone's trying to figure out how to be in relationship with one another. Well, Phil has a really interesting perspective, so we'll get his view here on Sunday Evening Masterclass here this week on the New Thought Media Network. All right, let's go to the news here. This is the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and also the Omicron variant, also from CNN. Vaccine advisors to the CDC will meet to vote this afternoon on whether to recommend Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine, now fully approved by the FDA for adults. We're kind of mixing some Olympic news here. The Beijing Olympic Committee has also reported over 20 new COVID-19 cases among game-related personnel at the Winter Olympics kickoff. In Europe, Austria's COVID-19 vaccine mandate was signed into law as countries such as Germany continued to battle record daily cases. And again, that means that they are making it law that you have to get vaccinated or you will have legal consequences. That's what we've been talking about here in this country. Talking more about the Olympics, the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics kicked off with an opening ceremony at the Beijing National Stadium. The games will run until February 20th as Beijing becomes the first city to host both the Summer and the Winter Olympics. And this is the second Olympics to be hosted during the pandemic, but this time the athletes are confined to a closed loop that's far stricter than Tokyo's 2020 bubble. And political tensions have dominated the buildup to the games, with several countries, including the U.S., imposing diplomatic boycotts in protest of China's alleged human rights abuses. COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations are down in the U.S. as deaths are also starting to plateau, the latest data shows, which is good news. Again, from CNN, the Biden administration continues to battle the Omicron variant and push for vaccinations. Latest U.S. data showed that cases and hospitalizations are also trending downward. New movements on the vaccines could also expand who is eligible to get the shot. The White House says that it is ready to hit the ground running to vaccinate children ages 6 months to 5 years old as soon as the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine receives emergency use authorization for its COVID-19 vaccine for that group. So here are the latest figures. This is again from CNN. The U.S. is now averaging over 356,000 new COVID-19 cases, according to Johns Hopkins University. Cases are now down 38% since last week, and cases are trending down all except in one place, and that is Alabama. The U.S. is now averaging 2,441 new deaths each day, according to Johns Hopkins. And this is 7% higher than a week ago, but it's also been holding steady over the past couple of days. The U.S. will likely surpass 900,000 COVID-19 deaths today or tomorrow. And here was a surprise, something that threw the stock market off because the investors were thinking that the news was going to be bad. Again, from CNN, despite Omicron, Americans beat expectations by adding 467,000 jobs in January. America's job recovery got an unexpected boost in January, despite Omicron. The economy added 467,000 new jobs last month. That was significantly better than most economists had expected. The unemployment rate rose to 4%, the first increase in the jobless rate since June of 2021. So again, the reason that stocks went down yesterday was because, again, they thought that this news was going to be negative. Interesting. Again, COVID-19 still in the news here. We need just to be aware of it. And I went to a gas station on Wednesday before we received another foot of snow. And I found out that we had a foot of snow outside the concrete bunker. Inside the store, I was the only customer wearing a mask. So personally, I feel it's my moral and ethical responsibility to protect myself and those around me. And a couple of weeks ago, the Centers for Spiritual Living, holding its convention in Palm Springs, did its very best to protect those who attended by insisting on testing before the convention and also mask wearing during the gathering. And again, these are people of faith. It doesn't mean that they have less faith because they wore a mask. It's because, again, that they were coming from a place of love for everyone. So there is light at the end of the tunnel here. However, again, I feel that the most spiritual thing that we can all do is take this pandemic seriously and yet not be afraid. So we hold, again, the high watch of knowing, again, this COVID-19 goes back into the nothingness from where it came from. So we know that. And again, hello, welcome. This is a Friday evening fireside chat here on the New Thought Media Network. Pastor Michael Mangus going over the news, and in just a few moments, live from our Washington, D.C. bureau, deep inside the newsroom of the New Thought Media Network there in our nation's capital, we'll be having our special guest, my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning. There was something in the news this week that was not reported very much, but I saw this through the Religious News Service. It's a wonderful organization that, again, has been around for years that reports on religion in not only the United States, but also around the world. President Joe Biden this week at the National Prayer Breakfast calls for unity, and he took advantage of a smaller, more intimate setting to reach out to his political adversaries. Appearing to a forum of camaraderie increasingly rare on Capitol Hill, President Joe Biden launched the power of faith in his speech at the National Prayer Breakfast on Thursday, that was February 3rd, calling for unity at an unusually intimate gathering of the annual religious gathering. Speaking in an auditorium in the visitor center of the U.S. Capitol, Biden singled out those who in the room had recently lost loved ones, recalled with frustration January 6, 2021, where Capitol attacks happened, and lamented the waves of death spurned by the ongoing pandemic. Amid such difficulties and divisions, Biden told the audience, compromising of mostly members of Congress, that his Christian faith reminded him of the importance of service. He said, in a moment of great division, our democracy is at grave risk. Biden added, rather than drive us apart, faith can move us together. And because all the great confessional faiths share the same fundamental basic beliefs, not just faith in a higher power, but faith to see each other as we should, not as enemies, but as neighbors, not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans, as leaders of this nation who work and pray together. And again, this was not reported on CNN at all. I did not see anything on CNN. Thursday's prayer breakfast was smaller than before the pandemic, the byproduct of the COVID-19 restrictions and an effort by organizers to refocus the gathering. Organizers suggested that this year was meant to shift the focus of the National Prayer Breakfast. Its keynote speaker was Brian Stevenson, who's a lawyer and longtime advocate for criminal justice reform and racial equality, founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, and also the author of the best-selling book, Just Mercy. Stevenson was instrumental in creating the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, the Alabama Memorial to the 4,400 victims of lynchings in the U.S. Biden the Catholic cited St. Augustine, who wrote that a people was a multitude defined by a common objective of their love. Biden continued, he says, I believe the common objective of our love that defines us as Americans are opportunity, liberty, dignity, respect, honor, service, and truth. Things that everyone recognizes both here and around the world. And as I stand in the citadel of democracy that was attacked 1 year ago, the issue for us is unity. And how do we unite again? Stevenson based his talk on the words of the biblical prophet Micah. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? From the book of Micah. Stevenson went on to say, whether it's gun violence or gang violence or domestic violence or sexual violence or police violence or aggression in any form, we have to understand that these things separate us from doing justice, from loving mercy. And also, as the event wound down, Representative Lucy McBath, who's a Georgia Democrat, read from Philippians 4, verses 4 through 9, shortly before Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, who's a Mississippi Republican, closed the proceedings in prayer. Father, I lift up those of us who have been put into positions to lead this country. Hyde-Smith prayed, convict our hearts to right the wrongs and to be brave and steadfast against evil. May your will be done, and may the decisions be pleasing unto you. Amen. I think the article speaks for itself, so I don't feel that I need to comment. But again, I think that what's going on here is people are re-examining the relationships to each other and the relationships of the two parties, especially on Capitol Hill, and that things need to be done to promote unity, as what happened during the wonderful National Prayer Breakfast here. Well, hi there again, and welcome. This is the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. In just a few moments, when I become quiet and still, we will have on my special guest from the Washington, D.C. Bureau of the New Thought Media Network. Charlette's she's doing stuff in the background. We're just going to not pay attention to her. But Diego came on laughing. See, Diego, the reason we do this program is to make you laugh weekly. That's the reason, nothing else. But the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning from our nation's capital, she will be on here in just a few moments. All right. So again, this week, an article that I saw, again from the Religious News Service, was this opinion article about Whoopi Goldberg's thought on The View earlier this week. It says that Whoopi Goldberg was wrong about the Holocaust, but the story is bigger than that. Goldberg has apologized in a tweet on Monday for saying that the Holocaust was not about race. Her initial comments Monday morning on the ABC's The View. Now, this commentary is by Rabbi Jeffrey Salkin. Rabbi Jeffrey is from Hollywood, Florida. He leads a congregation down there of the Reformed Jewish faith. And this is what he said. This is what he wrote. Just so you know, this is what Jews have been enduring almost since the end of the siege in Collinsville, Texas. A school board in Tennessee has pulled Moss, that's Art Spiegelman's graphic novel about the Holocaust, from its school's reading list. And again, this is all of Rabbi Salkin's opinion here. If I did know better, I would suspect that Art orchestrated this whole thing just to push sales of his classic work. I don't think so. But anyhow, since the Texas incident, there were swastikas on the pillars of Union Station in Washington, D.C. There were anti-Semitic flyers in Surfside and Miami Beach, Florida, claiming Jewish connections to COVID. Neo-Nazis marched in Orlando, Florida, a march in which Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis has refused to condemn. Amnesty International branded Israel an apartheid state, and these attacks on Jewish sensitivities and sensibilities have been happening almost on a daily basis. And on The View, Whoopi Goldberg made foolish remarks about the Holocaust. Again, this is Rabbi Salkin's opinion here. He goes on to say, the Holocaust is not about race. This is what Whoopi Goldberg says. It's about man's inhumanity to man. For Whoopi, the Holocaust was about two white groups of people. And later she apologized, admitting that she misspoke. And on the Today Show, again, Reverend Salkin, again, is very well known out there. He said that the Holocaust is not about race, but about man's inhumanity to man. I should have said it was about both. And Jonathan Greenblatt from the Anti-Defamation League shared this, said the Holocaust was about the Nazis' systematic annihilation of the Jewish people, who they deemed to be an inferior race. So the rabbi says, I stand corrected. And yet on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Whoopi doubled down. She says, I feel being Black. When we talk about race, it is a very different thing to me. So I said, I thought the Holocaust wasn't about race, and people got very angry and still are angry. But I thought it was a salient discussion because as a Black person, I think of race as being something that I can see. And when you talk about being a racist, you can't call this the Holocaust racism. This was evil, and this wasn't based on skin. You couldn't tell who was Jewish. You had to delve deeply and figure it out. So this is what happened. ABC suspended Whoopi from The View for 2 weeks. ABC President Kim Goodwin says, while Whoopi has apologized, I asked her to take time off to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, and family and community. So Rabbi Jeffrey goes on. He says, first, let's deal with the ABC suspension of Whoopi Goldberg. I understand why it happened, he wrote. He says ABC was correct responding not only to Whoopi, but probably not even particularly to Whoopi, but to the spate of anti-Semitic incidences in this country. And some critics like Joel Pollack, who's a conservative pundit, thinks that it is a distraction from the real anti-Semitism in this country, calling the ABC move a virtual signaling. And again, the rabbi goes on, if this is the case, then it would be relatively new and different form of the virtue signaling, one that has to take Jewish sensibilities into account. Nevertheless, he wrote, I am opposed to the ABC suspension. Whoopi made an intellectual error. Her remarks were misguided, but they were not hateful, nor hate-filled. Again, the rabbi goes on, he says, for here's the problem, and now Whoopi understands it. We have become an unforgiving culture in which anything that you say has a half-life that is a piece of carbon would envy. Whoopi made a mistake. She owned up to it. Our culture should be resilient enough to say, okay, enough, let's move on. And this is also the opinion, I'm kind of cutting in there, but this is also the opinion of the from the Jewish Defamation League also. They do not believe that Whoopi Goldberg should be suspended for anything. Going on here, it says that culture includes the Jews. It is both a useless and counterproductive to turn Whoopi from a misinformed friend into a misinformed enemy. And it goes on, it says Whoopi's an entertainer. She and her colleagues never signed up to become Holocaust historians or moral philosophers or whatever. And one of these days, we will get over our infatuation with celebrities and recognize them for what they do, which is entertain. Second, this is what Whoopi initially got wrong and which she now understands a little better. The Holocaust was about race, and this is crucial, but race as the Nazis defined it. Let me say one more time for those of you who have not been listening. The Jews are not a race, though it was fashionable for Jews and also for anti-Semites to think so. Any visit to Israel would dispel that notion. Actually, you don't need a 12-hour plane flight to confirm that. Go into any synagogue and you will see Jews of all colors and races. Come to my religious school in Florida and look how the students look. The Jews are not a race, but the Nazis thought the Jews constituted a race, and they applied the most sadistic version of pseudoscience to that definition. The Holocaust was about race, the Jewish race as the Nazis defined it. And no, Whoopi, not all Jews are white, even visually. But then again, that gets into the whole visual thing about race. Is it just about skin tone or other physical characteristics? Or is it also about self-definition and how others define you? And yes, Whoopi, again, this is the good rabbi going on. Non-white Jews also died in the Holocaust, like Jews from North Africa, for example. And again, he goes on, we're about done here. There is something else that Whoopi got wrong, that the Holocaust was simply about two white groups of people. That statement was dismissive and cruel in its disrespect to the victims of the Holocaust. And finally, there was Whoopi's assertion that the Holocaust was not about man's inhumanity to man, or that it was about man's inhumanity to man. No, I'm not buying into that, and I invite you not to buy into that either, to subsume that the Holocaust into a pile of other hateful episodes in human history in and of itself is a grave respect to the victims. So as he writes these words, he is preparing to take his synagogue's teens to Washington, D.C., and they'll be visiting a lot of different places, and also including the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. And this is what Rabbi Salkin will be telling his young people. He says that we sometimes use the phrase never again. He says, I believe in never again, and I also believe in never before. He says, never before has a state set out as a matter of principle and policy to annihilate every man, woman, and child belonging to a specific people. Never before had an entire civilization conspired to kill, and never before had a mass killing before a matter of bureaucracy, technology, and industry, and never before had a civilization killed with the wholesale involvement of its lawyers, its doctors, its business executives, and everyone else, including its civil servants. And I would like these points to be part of Whoopi Goldberg's next statement about the Holocaust. All right, so these are my comments, and I know that Dr. Manning will have hers. There is a big difference between misinformation and hate speech. And again, I've shared this before. I've had people, Black people, take me aside and say, what you have said is racist. I didn't know, or I thought it wasn't. And again, here in our area, we had a local news anchor, a Latina woman, who used a phrase that was racist in its origin. However, she used it like everyday speech. So rather than fire her, the Black anchor who was with her and others used it as a time of education rather than to get rid of her. All right. I think I'm overtime here. I need to be quiet here. Anyhow, well, hi there. Welcome. This is the Friday evening fireside chat here on the New Thought Media Network. And we will get to Dr. Manning here in just a moment. Let's go to our announcements here. Yours truly is parking himself here at Summit CSL. For more information, go to summitcsl.org. There, and only there, you'll find information about our wonderful Sunday gathering at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific time. Yes, that's in the morning. That's not in the evening. And so grab your cup of coffee, your tea, your espresso, your chai, whatever that you drink in the morning. And please join us. And we do have one of the best services, I do believe, in New Thought. And this Sunday, we'll be celebrating our 22nd anniversary with our special guest, all the way from Washington, D.C. And she would have traveled the snowy roads to get here if I asked her, but she's not. She's going to be on Zoom with us. The Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning with her topic, Count on Me. So again, please go to Summit CSL for more information on how to join our Zoom call. And our service is also simulcast on the Summit Spiritual Center of Akron Facebook page. And also our Facebook page also has past broadcasts of the Fireside Chat. And yours truly, when he is praying on the New Thought Media Network in the evenings, which has been almost every other day now. All right. So I'm not going to go into the schedule because the schedule is just loaded and I would be here. It's about half past the hour here, half past noon. Look at that schedule. I'd be here until midnight tonight telling you all the wonderful programs that we have here. I wanted to tell you, though, that we do have a very special daily program that we have produced here on the New Thought Media Network for Black History Month. And again, we have different presenters from our staff doing that. And Charlette, you're more than welcome to also join that too. But we have different offerings here. So again, just go to our website, ntmedia.org. And while there, click on the donate button. It's amazing to me the response that we're getting, not only from the United States, but also worldwide. That some people are getting in touch with us and have said, I have believed in this way of thinking all along, and I thought that I was unique. Well, no, because that comes from the soul level. And that is saying it's, and by us being on the air here, it's confirming what you've already known. And that's your own divinity and your own power. So again, we have a lot of different programs to meet that. And again, we ask you to be in partnership with us by supporting us through your financial giving. And again, the money given here is used 100% again to propagate the network worldwide. And again, we don't convert. What we do is we have a conversation with individuals using this wonderful medium. All right, so go to ntmedia.org/donate, give a very generous one-time gift, or do like myself and Dr. Manning do, we give on a monthly basis. So again, either way helps us a lot. And we thank you so very much. Okay. talk long enough. Now time for break. And then we'll be back with the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning. You are on the Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
Yeah, just bring it back. Just bring it back to me, Diego. Yeah, I know. I had that happen to me also, where the browser, if you don't click right on it, on the StreamYard tab there. See, we don't have buttons here. We have like mouses and arrows and all kinds of stuff. So anyhow, well, hi there, welcome. You're in tune with the New Thought Media Network and the Friday evening Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael. And with us from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., from the concrete bunker that we have for her there, deep inside the New Thought Media Network complex there, it is my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning. Welcome to the...
Hi there. How are you?
Chat. Good.
Yeah. Hey, Diego.
Are you going to come and help me dig out now?
Boy, you needed that disclaimer today, didn't you?
What? The views and opinions. Go ahead.
Woo! But listen, I concur with there's no need for me to rehash what you said because I concur with everything that you said. You know, my mother had an old saying, my grandmother actually, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And sometimes, you know, opinions are like, you know.
Yeah, they're like, go ahead. Yes.
Everybody's got one.
Right.
Now, Karen Ellen Johnson had an opinion. She stated an opinion. For those of you who don't know who Elaine Johnson is, that is Whoopi Goldberg. And Whoopi Goldberg, as she was entering into the comedy world and going into stage and acting and so forth and so on, opted to change her name for two reasons. Whoopi obviously was vaudeville, you know, the whoopee cushion. Whoop! Okay, it was very funny. So everybody always got a joke out when you hear someone say Whoopi. And Goldberg, she chose Goldberg because of her not necessarily her close relationship to the Jewish people, but our similarities in terms of the alienation and the ostracization of Black people, especially, and Jewish people. The Jewish people and Black people are the only, and the opinions expressed here are my own, but they are the only two cultures of people that were actually attempted to annihilate.
Yes.
Now, there's a common denominator in all of that. And, February being Black History Month, and I'm wearing my red today because today is the American Heart Association National Women's Heart Health Day.
Now, I was going to ask you that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you went ahead and went ahead.
As I normally do, but don't you go anywhere, because I know you'll go down to the pizza place and get a pizza and a drink while I'm talking, and because I just go on and on and on. But you give me so much to chew on, and I'm chomping at the bit to jump on here with you, because you do such wonderful and extensive research in the content that you are discussing. And unfortunately, we are now in a time frame where the sensitivity, with the exception of the white male, because the white male is the only one that has a legitimate, I want to say the B word, but a legitimate gripe in the consciousness of everything. Critical race theory and all this other stuff. White men don't want you to know what has really transpired to not just the Jewish people as well as the Jewish faith, or Black people as well as our relationship to slavery. We're the only race of people, the only race of people that came to this country against our will and with a job. The only race.
And what happened was that I tried to get an expert from our denomination on here about critical race theory. She was told by her minister, her senior minister, not to come on our program because that it's too controversial. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, first of all, critical race theory is something that has never been taught in the schools. It has always been a college law course in academia. Secondly, when I was in high school, which was a long time ago, our English class read Huckleberry Finn, and it was the most humiliating and degrading thing that I ever had to sit through and experience, listening to my white English teacher calling me or my race of people niggers and nigras. She never even pronounced it correctly. And it was intentional to humiliate and demoralize us as a race of people. I was the first class in 1965 to integrate the white school in Alexandria, Virginia. So when we start talking about race and the culture, you can see movies like Remember the Titans, and when Coach Boone came here as the first Black coach at T.C. Williams High School, all the things that they did to them, the things that as a young person, I was called nigger so much, as Chris Rock said, I thought it was my middle name. I've been spit on by white people. My family owned their own home. They didn't rent. My family owned their own home. Yet and still, I could not walk on the side of the street where the white people who lived in the projects. I couldn't walk on their side of the street. This is memory, okay? This ain't history. This is memory. Now, the limit to our critical race theory back in those days was Huckleberry Finn, and the fact that we came here to build this nation. Now, if you go anywhere in Virginia, in Charlottesville, and places of this nature, you see some of the most beautiful plantations you have ever seen in life. And why?
And the White House.
Yes. They were put, yes, the White House and the Capitol. Okay. These places have stood the test of time because, but I particularly talk about the plantations because of the nurturing, how that land was architecturally designed, water systems and all of this. These were all things that were created by Black people. The cotton gin, the food services, all of these things that white people took credit for. That's critical race theory. But white men don't want you to know that. And it's okay, because let me just say this on the final top, because you're never going to convince any of them. Black history was taught in our home because we didn't get the truth in school. So the background, I mean, the every Sunday when we came home from church, there were two things that we had to do. We had to sit down with my grandparents, my brother and I, and we had to go through. We had encyclopedias. You remember those back in those days?
I do.
Okay.
We had a set in our home too.
Encyclopedia, and we talked about those things that the contributions that our people had made. Do you know that the person? A lot of people don't know this. The person how that statue got up on top of the Capitol, the first slave that orchestrated the pulley, which actually pulled that thing up on top of the Capitol, was a Black man. Most of the things that were created in this country or invented in this country were invented by Black people who white people took credit for, which is cool. All right. It's all right. But what I'm saying is you're never going to be able to convince. So as a result of what happened with Whoopi Goldberg, because we respond the way we do about the atrocities that have happened to Black people. So when something happens to white people, they're going to scream at that too. So we should have expected that. And the fact that Whoopi let herself get caught into that reaction or that statement was unfortunate, because she didn't mean it the way that it was said. And that's cool. But we're talking about the shortest month of the year. We have Black history, and anything else that people can ram into the month of February other than Black history, they do that. But you were talking about Alabama shortly while you were doing your thing.
Yes.
And
so I talked about Alabama as far as being the place where that most COVID cases are still on the uptick. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Alabama is a country. Alabama, as the country celebrates Black History Month, some parents in Alabama are calling education officials to complain to schools that they believe celebrating Black History Month is a way of practicing critical race theory. Now they want to get rid of Black history. And sometimes, this is what I mean. When we get into a cause, everybody will find a way to plug their agenda into this cause. Not to mention the fact that there are so many other things that we should be focused on right now than this. This whole critical race theory, all this other stuff is a distraction from what is most important. I have never looked at you as a white man, even though I tell you to keep your white behind home sometimes.
She does.
Absolutely. Okay. And even though I recognize Diego's cornrow sideburns, okay, I don't look at you as a white man. I look at you as my brother, because energetically we connect to one another. Now, Whoopi Goldberg chose the last name Goldberg symbolically for a reason, because of her relationship with the Jewish people. Now, you can get pissed off, excuse the expression, and I can get upset with you, or you can get upset with me, but at the end of the day, you know that I'm not going to say anything detrimental to you or anything to intentionally hurt you about anything. Right. That was not her intention. But that little Meghan McCain, she couldn't wait to jump on in. Whoopi gets away with anything she wants, because that's how they chart. They wait. They wait, and they just lay in the cut and wait for an opportunity to get into the crux of any kind of disorder, And so I know we could talk about this the whole month of February, because I think it's essential that we recognize that, when you got white supremacists to say, go back to where you came from, Black people, go back where you came from. I didn't buy no ticket to come here. My ancestors didn't buy no ticket to come here. You want me to go back? Give me a ticket to go back. Number two, what would you do in this country without Latina, without Black people, without the races of people and the caste system that have been developed to take care of raise your children, take care of your land, build your wealth? The white man has ridden the backs of people throughout this history since we came here, from the smallpox they gave to the American Indian up until the atrocities from slavery. They just don't want to face their truth. And I get it. I get it. But it's time for us to park this horse.
Right.
It really is. We need to recognize that there's only one power.
Yes.
One presence.
Right.
In the universe. God. God created us all, and he created us equally.
Yes.
Therefore, what you don't see or what you criticize in your brother is what you need to be criticizing in yourself. You can't come to a country, claim America as you discovering America when you get here and their people already here. Yes, Diego, you're right. You can't discover someplace when their people already here, and they've been stealing from them ever since. But it's cool, because the Bible also says, I told you that Genesis 12:15, y'all got to read that.
And I read that the other day. Go on.
Okay, yes. That's some serious stuff. Now, that's biblical. But as I said, we can go on with this forever and ever. But I want you to know, from the bottom of my heart to the bottom of your heart, I salute the work that you do. I am so happy to be a part of this with you, this journey with you. And I know that as long as we keep showing up, religion is not the answer. Our spiritual connection to one another, energetically connecting to the light of each other, is the answer. So birth is painful. Birth is ugly. You want to beat that daddy up while you're going through them labor pains. But trust me when I tell you, when we give birth to this new consciousness, 2222, we're going to be an awesome people. So stay prayed up and know that God is on the throne.
If you wondered what you said, what the heck did you guys, what did you do? This is the Friday evening fireside chat here in the New Thought Media Network. We are talking from the Washington, D.C. Bureau in her secure concrete bunker there in the New Thought Media Network Bureau office, the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning. There she goes. Her website, which is drcharlettemanning.com. Oh, we'll plug the book.
The hard copy is here.
Keep the book up. Keep the book up.
Yay.
And that is the second in your series, correct?
Yes, it is. This is for facing your fears, releasing the chains that bind you. And this is exactly what we're talking about. Because the past is a canceled check. The past is to teach you, not to torment you. So we need to go back to what we know for sure, and that is who we are and whose we are. So
talking about matters of faith, how did you find the comments by Joe Biden and the other officials at the prayer breakfast?
I thought that Joe Biden, contrary to what anybody may say about him, I think he is a loving, kind spirit. I've known Joe Biden throughout his political career. He is a lifetime member of the NAACP, and throughout his time in the Congress and in the Senate, he has been an active participant in our conferences every year until COVID stopped us from going. And he came when President Obama couldn't come, but he has always been an active participant in that. His relationship with people of color and women is genuine. It's not pretense. And I believe that God has got his back. And even though numbers may not reflect it right now, we know who he is and what his agenda is about as well. So Joe's going to be all right. We just keep him prayed up. We just got to keep him prayed up. I love him. I really do.
So the comments he said again about, and again, this was not reported. I did not see this necessarily on CNN or MSNBC or any of the other news organizations. I saw it in the Religion News Service.
Yeah.
About the article that I read. And it's like, why didn't you talk about this, about Joe Biden calling us to unity rather than division?
Well,
and again, that was just a national prayer breakfast, and
which is very significant and should have gotten the media exposure. However, and MSNBC, CNN are the left-wing version of Fox's right. So, I mean, they just go to the extreme. You got to turn that crap off. You got to start doing some research. You got to start following up on some things, going deep and wide into what's going on in this country right now. And I think that where we never see where we come together as a coalition. All we see is our differences. So, we just got to keep doing what we do as the NAACP. That's what we keep doing. We don't let ourselves get sidetracked by the propaganda. We just keep doing the work that we're supposed to do. So that's what we're doing. I love you, my friend.
Well, hold it here. Is the music on?
The music is on.
I don't hear it.
I hear it.
No, not yet.
I hear it.
Diego, is the music on? Hold it. He has to. Oh, it's on. Oh, I don't hear it. Turn it up a little bit more. All right. Well, anyhow, the music's on. So again, the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning. If you want to hear her speak, it's this Sunday if you go to summitcsl.org, you'll get more information about her speaking on our 22nd anniversary of our wonderful center here in Akron. So for all of us here at the New Thought Media Network, and also Dr. Charlette, and also Diego in the background running all the dials and everything else, Pastor Michael Mangus again wishing you a wonderful week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience, or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a Special thanks to Heckerland Foundation for your generous